YouTube. I believe that he's on other outlets now, or maybe he's going by another name. But he was showing you how up in Washington State and in California, he was taking his camera and showing you the seaports and how empty they were. You know, how he, told a story about the house that actually had a house that was owned across from the seaport, and how out his front window, you looked in one direction, you saw the water and the rolling trees and hills, and when you looked the other way, he could actually see into the stockyard when you would see the ship containers, the truck containers and the train containers that styled up 5, 6, 7 stories high, and how they were 1 story high or 2 stories high, none at all. And how that was going to have an effect on the GDP, and it's showing itself now. It took time, but it's showing itself now. Look at what's going on in the world, man. Look at what's going on here in America, in Babylon. All right? The money is failing. The system is failing, man. And with what was going on with my client, I'm going to read James 5 and 3. It says, "Your gold and silver is cankered. The rust of them shall be a witness against you, and they shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped up treasures together for the last days." See, no one wants to deal with the American dollar anymore, with this currency. The nations of the world are getting away from it. And the number one nation that uses it, which is America, they're trying to find a way to get around the fact that the nations don't want to use their money anymore. So they're trying to catch up to China with this whole digital thing. Because China went digital first. And China was one of those major nations that stopped using the dollar. All right? Now, and they stopped using it, for deals between themselves years ago. Now they're not really dealing with it at all. And there's a whole slew of other nations that are joined unto them. And that's doing major damage here. You got to understand this whole situation that's ravaging America. This was a cover. This was a cover to hide the collapse and the fall of the dollar, and to bring in the new digital system, which is connected to the MOB. Point blank, period.
In different segments, and a lot of maybe it's just a story. Maybe it's all the story that the CEOs tell their investors so that they don't get spooked every time they see the same thing. So maybe that's why we're hearing it so many places. But either way, the fact that inventories are falling, we see prices received, they rose to 31.8 versus 16.7. Unfilled orders, they rose to 21.8 versus 12.6. The average work week, it increased to 39.7. And the 6-month outlook, it rose to 61.6 versus 39.5. Now, the most interesting part about all of this that shows some real trouble is this surge is driven by this huge spike in prices paid. They actually soared to 75.9 versus 54.4 on the last print. Now, 54.4 is a huge increase in prices, but right now we're surging towards all-time highs. And what this means is the bad news. Now, in the late 70s, during the oil crisis, was the last time that prices paid were ever even close to this high. So we talk about the inflation that was going on in the 70s. Well, guess what? Now you see prices paid, they're back at those same levels, only back then the 10-year yield was around 14%. At the end of it all, we do know Jerome Powell just came out.
So we're in a way worse situation now, all right? Because even back then, though, the dollar got you more. The dollar's extremely weak now, okay? And, but, okay, so let's just jump to it. My client, we just gonna call him J Mac. I won't say his name too much because he's pretty known within, the business realm here in Chicago. And I wish I had just recorded the conversation so that I could, I should have just wrote it, so I could have not put his voice on blast. But just write down all the details of what we talked about and how he agreed that everything that I said was true, and he realizes it now. So his business is in trouble, and he needed to get to one of his suppliers overseas. He needed to get 4 million euros, all right, ASAP, all right, to clear a payment so that something could go, and then, I forget exactly what it was, but he needs to get these 4 million euros, and his bank was giving him a very hard time, and he was giving me the reasons why, and so he found out that his bank's head was in Switzerland. All right, so he ended up getting on the phone and talking to these people in Switzerland, and he said the woman told him that that they would be able to do that for him, but it would take a couple days to clear the money. He's like, this deal is about, it needs to go down now. I stand to lose out on a substantially millions, a big slew of money, way more than 4 million euros. But he needs 4 million euros to secure this deal ASAP. But if he doesn't, he's gonna lose up to 50 million, and that means his company is gone. He's gone. He has no job. He has no money, so he's freaking out right now. But what he did tell me was this: that when he talked to the woman, she told him, well, you know what? There's nothing that I can do for you. I have to wait a couple days for all this to clear, and then we can get you the money, but it's going to take us 3 to 4 days, and there's really nothing I can do. And if that's not good enough for you, sir, you're going to have to go somewhere else. So he freaked out, and he made a couple months, and he found out that there was another bank that was willing to help him. All right, and so that's why he's not going to be able to train this morning while I'm sitting here doing this video, and I never left to go meet him at the dojo. It's because of that. And then he told me that he's talking to the guy, and that the guy told him that if he may be able to do this before the day is out, but there's going to be a substantial interest on it. That's how Esau rolls. But he also said that if the digital system were in place already, we wouldn't have these issues right now. And that made him, he called me right away. So we've been telling you, and we've been warning you, and it made me feel good, This is because he's experiencing this on a small scale himself. This is because he's about to fill his belly. He's about to get paid. Now all of a sudden disaster. It wasn't peace and safety after all. But this is Job 20 and 23. And it reads, when he is about to fill his belly, God shall cast a furious wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. See, JM is about to go under. Because he was like, if this goes through, this is going to be sweet for me. And then I'll pay you a big lump sum ahead of time, package deals, and not this pity pat pay as I go shit. Because that's how he used to do. But this place is finished, man. It's finished. And that digital currency is directly connected to the MOB. As a matter of fact, I'm going to read a little bit of it. This is, because he said, if it was in place already. Go ahead. I've been telling him that all the banks have a digital notebook. And this is where they're headed, man. All right? This is Revelation 13:16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save they have the digital system. The mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. We'll leave it at that. I don't want to say too much because they really target that these days. But how do you think they're going to control this? This mark is going to be digital, and how are you going to control digital? All right. So with that, I'm going to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh by Shem Shai, by Hashem Rakar Vadash. Double honors into the apostles and the elders. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity. All right. And Wa Abba Baba. Shalom.